sure he has many.
Funny story, period. Funny, period.
They'd have to be off the record.
Get the camera out.
Way ahead of you.
He's got the camera trained on you. Well, I have a suggestion where we could start. When I was a young man, I was a fairly cocky young fellow. You may remember that. My brothers remind me of this regularly. And looking back on my youth, I have the feeling that I'm very blessed to be in this family with this father who put up with me in my teenage years, younger brother who said, whoa, you were a bit of a nut. Sister-in-law who was just always a sweet personality, and Uncle Alfred who saved me from drowning.
We'll talk about that later, okay?
Maybe we could rectify that tonight.
Here's my story. The other day
We'll probably all leave at the same time. We're chucking them, don't you dare.
This is my turn. Will you shut him up, please? Okay, so I was looking at this thing that my dad put together on my mom and how much he missed my mom, and God knows she was a great mom and a wonderful wife, no doubt. And he says at some point that I'm going to meet you at heaven's gates. And so I said, Dad, you know, we had this little session at our Bible study one day where a wise friend of mine said, this is a quiz question. What's the password when you get to the pearly gates? Now, I made the mistake of saying,
get me a beer.
I'm more humble than I was when I started out. Or I'm a better person. And he said, no, that's not the answer. The answer is quite simply, I know Jesus. I know Jesus, period. That's the answer. And I think that's one of the places where a lot of people get confused about Christianity. Like, you know, God loves you just the way you are. You don't have to be like a better person or more humble or, you know, not spill wine in your sister-in-law's purse or whatever, you know? And it's not as though you're like this better person because God loves you just the way you are. And I said this to my father, you know what his response was? And it's unfortunate he left because he said, well, you're the biggest sinner of them all. And I said, well, you know what, Dad, I'm okay with that because you know what, I think there's
I know Jesus.
There's a passage in the Bible which specifically addresses that. You know what it is? In Luke, I looked it up today.
Yeah.
Jesus goes to the house of the Pharisee. The Pharisees are the guys in power back then, right? And there's this woman who comes in, and she's a prostitute, and she's pouring perfume on his feet, and you know, saying, "Please forgive me," kind of thing.
Where's the story going?
And what happens is Christ says, he tells the story. He says, you know,
Doesn't really matter.
if you shush up, Tegan, shush up, Bruce. If you owe 50 denarii, and I owe 500 denarii, who's going to be more grateful for being forgiven? What's the answer? Me.
Bam.
I'm going to be way more forgiven. I'm going to be way more happy because I've been forgiven, right? And I said, that's the whole point. One of the reasons I'm such a strong Christian is I know how much I screwed up. And the whole thing about Christianity is, look, we're all sinners. The question is, like, how bad? And I'm certainly one of the most cocky, self-absorbed people in my youth. And that's the story. So that's why I'm so thankful as a Christian.
All right, we're looking for funny stories, not touching moments about how